coloring. So generally, as people start to arrive at the party, I get them doing the coloring activity right from the get-go. I don't wait for everybody to show up. That's kind of like my time saver, and it's just something they can start doing while we're waiting for the next few to show up. Introduce the wish list. So you guys noticed I got you to pull out your color sheet and your wish list. So I introduced the wish list right at the beginning because I'm going to be collecting those at the end for booking and lead purposes. Okay, so that's part one. Part two is introductions. So I go around, I always get them to tell me how they know the host, because then I learn more about them. So I learn if they have kids, maybe they learn, met through their kids, or, maybe they work together and they work, their full-time job or whatever. So it just helps me get to know the guests a little bit. And the question that I ask is always, how would you spend X amount of money? Or if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? And again, I'm asking that specific because I want to learn about what they'd spend that money on. So then again, at the order taking table, I can say, hey, Robin, you'd mentioned you wanted to upgrade your car. Could I offer you a little more information to see if Party Light could help you do that? So I'm using that information to then take to the order taking table after. Part number 3 is the introductions and my introduction infomercial. So I'm not just up here rambling on about myself just for the sake of it. So you want to be really particular about your infomercial and keep it nice and short and sweet, but you want to get as much information out that might relate and connect with your audience. So I talked about when I was a student, in case there's students in the room. I talked about working multiple jobs because there's a lot of people in the world working 2 to 3 jobs to try to make ends meet. I talked about attending my first Party Light party and not knowing about anything and not having any money to shop. So again, that's putting anybody at ease in the room that maybe can't, spend $100 or whatever. So I'm creating my infomercial to attract, people in the room that are going to have something in common with me. Number 4. So part 4 is fragrance forms and $50 order examples. So again, I'm then showing them the customer deals and how to relate that back to the color wheel. So everything kind of fits together. And then I showed them examples of how to use that $50 purchase to get the next deal. And as I say, spend $50 and it unlocks my favorite offer, right? So I like to, it's like you've unlocked this special deal. But I always pick my examples for my 40% off items are always either a host special, whereas it doesn't work as much nowadays because we have more host exclusives, or something in the starter kit, okay? So for March, for example, you could use the Hurricane as an example because you can say 40% off or 65% off as the host price. But I like to use items in the starter kit because then I can kind of quickly touch on 40% off, free as a host, or business startup option. So I'm very particular about the pieces that I talk about. Then we have the 2 groupings that I create. So you want to create your groupings to fit like the Get Pay chart that they just trained on earlier this afternoon. So you want to calculate each side of your table, and it doesn't always fit on one table, you guys. Sometimes it's a side table at the person's house, right, or up on the mantle. So that's why 2 separate groupings is nice, because you may have to just kind of plop them wherever, depending on the house that you're in, right? So again, your groupings are a really great way to bundle our host program. Instead of standing up and saying, you get this and 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 this. Like, exactly, like roll your eyes over your head. So this just bundles it all in one simple package for you and saves you time as well. All right, and then the full-on grouping is the whole table, and then that's a sponsoring seed to touch on. And actually, I just want to mention 2 of the gals here today that just joined my team this month. I asked them, like, what caught your eye or what got you super interested in giving this a go? They both said, they both started at the same time. They both said, when you said you can get all of this value for that amount of dollars, that was the one thing that they both said just jumped out at them at my party. Part 6 is the booking perks. These babies. So yes, last month, if you haven't heard, you've heard now. This is amazing that, okay, I'm sad that they're going to be gone, but what's great about that is that's going to get you way more April parties, you guys, because you want everybody to know that they are going to want to host their party in the anniversary month, because that's the last chance for them to qualify. So use these to your advantage throughout the whole month of April and get those people booking before April 30th. So that's going to help us like just fill April up. And then part 7 is the Stealing Hearts, or whatever sponsoring game you choose to play. Always play a sponsoring game. That's generally the only game I play. If I add anything else to my party in terms of games, I make sure it's not adding time. So it's something that we can kind of you know, work into the party itself. And obviously I prompted you guys on what questions to ask, right? So I gave them 3 or 4 examples of what I wanted them to ask me, and I directed them to the back of the catalog, which also gives them ideas on what we want them to ask. If you're a new consultant and you don't want to just put yourself on the spot like that and that freaks you right out, talk to your leader. We do have a list of like frequently asked questions and answers, and what you can do is literally cut up all the questions, put them in a gift bag or a hurricane, and have the guests just reach in, pull a question, and then you have all the answers printed and ready to go. So you're going to know what they're asking you. And then part 8 is the wish list and close. So throughout the party, you do want to try to remember to refer back to the wish list a couple times. So again, when they love the grouping, they can be jotting that down on their wish list, right? Once they've created their signature scent, they're going to jot that down on their wish list, because then you're going to kind of use that information when you take it to the order taking table. For follow-ups and just to get an idea of, you know, help you with bookings and lead info. And I think that's pretty much, that's it. So that's the 8 steps to my party.
Awesome. Thank you.